Okay, I don't want to start sort of like a hype train about Borderlands 4, but I really do feel like Borderlands is so back after that 20-minute deep dive. I was very apprehensive going into it. I was like, we've not seen much. It could just be more Borderlands. I did like some of the things we had seen with movement, but after the 20-minute state of play deep dive with Borderlands 4, I really feel like I saw everything I needed to see, and I really do think like they nailed this, and there's a lot of things you can tell they've listened to the community and really put some thought into sort of returning to what Borderlands should be. My only gripe was that they had the FOV kind of low, and it was at 30 FPS. Hopefully we could see some gameplay in the future where that's not the case. But I want to talk about the standouts. If at any time during this quick video you like what you hear, make sure you hit like and subscribe so you get more of my content. So the first thing that to me really stands out is the movement. That might sound strange, but the double jump, the glide, the dashes, the ground slams, it honestly reminded me of Destiny. I wasn't the only person saying this. We were doing sort of a co-stream. A lot of people were saying it felt similar to some of that movement in Destiny. Just that ability to kind of move around, glide around, double jump around the location. It really makes the combat feel great, and I think it lets the guns and the abilities sort of breathe a little bit. Some guns and abilities you may not have used in the past, they open up a bit when you can kind of be above or navigate the room with more of that intentionality. Now, I've always said this about Borderlands. I always wanted lateral agility, just sort of the ability to not have to like face tank. Let me get out of the way, right? Let me kind of move around a little bit more. And when they showed the big, huge purple boss fight, it really showed that you're not going to have to do that sort of classic face tank thing where you just kind of stand there and shoot a bunch and then they shoot a bunch and you try to get out of the way as best you can. There's definitely a lot more lateral and vertical agility to the player, and I think that really, really elevates the gameplay above all previous Borderlands from what they showed. The second big standout obviously is the guns. They sound great, they look great. The gunplay I think looks even better than all previous Borderlands games. I actually felt like the gunplay was really good in BL3. It was certainly a step up from the previous. This looks even better. I just immediately noticed the crunchy, sort of punchy, but also very tight feel that the guns had. And again, when you combine that with the movement, it really does, I think, make this stand out and makes me want to play it. And the thing that I really like they did with the guns is the manufacturers. So you're going to be able to get like different parts. So you could have like a Malawan weapon with like a Torg clip. And so all the different manufacturers can come together and combine in just random amalgamations of guns. And I think that's a really, really smart move that can create so much diversity within the loot pool. So they're not necessarily just like overwhelming you with just like so many guns. Oh, the quantity so high. Also, the role differences and the combination differences could be there as well. And they will let you sort of spec and use an item to make certain gun manufacturers better. So if there's certain ones that you like more than others, you can use those to make them stronger, faster reload, and things like that. I said just today when I was waiting for the deep dive, man, let me spec into something that makes certain gun types better. So I'm not just specking into a skill tree, I'm also specking into sort of like a gun loadout that I really enjoy. I thought that was a smart move. Now, they did say legendary drop rates are going to be lower. They felt like they dropped too much in BL3. It made them less special. That might frustrate folks who like to grind for legendaries, but with the 8 gun manufacturers and all the different combinations, I hope that really opens up that purple tier of weapons to be really exciting, and that's sort of where I'm going to focus my attention. Maybe they also decide that a legendary is a legendary, so maybe you're not like farming for rolls. I think that might be a smart play, to be honest. Like if you get a legendary gun, that's it, that's the gun, instead of what, you know, people were doing in the past. They were sort of farming for that legendary, but they wanted the best roll. They didn't even get into under barrels or alt fire, so I really think what they showed with guns is very, very promising. Let's also talk about skill tree and abilities. They didn't show much here, but we did see enough, I think. The skill trees looked more expansive to offer more build freedom. The abilities that you get, there's a lot of presence, there's a lot of punch. I thought they looked very good. We only got to really see 2 characters, and really They only broke down like one character sort of initial skill tree, but I was very happy with what I saw. I don't think they want to depart too much from what has worked in the past. You sort of get an action skill and then you spec and build around that action skill, making it better, augmenting it. The cool thing they did show is the Siren can like summon this cat, and her one sort of passive ability is if she switches a weapon that's fire or acid or whatever, the actual cat changes to that element. I thought that was a very, very slick choice. I'm really hoping the other, characters and stuff, we get some deep dives with them as well. So really get into all the different abilities, because I think that's a huge element that makes Borderlands special, is that the guns aren't just great, but the characters themselves, they become sort of centerpieces to the game. They felt that way in Borderlands 2, and it'd be great to kind of get back to that. I'd also like to want to talk about the world. It had more of a Destiny-esque feel to it, especially when they were using the vehicle that was reminiscent of a Sparrow. It didn't necessarily feel open world, but it felt like it had definitely opened up. Areas and sightlines seem very big and sort of open, and you can just kind of wander around and things can happen. You can find things to do. I liked that. It gives it just a little bit of that Destiny inspiration and touch. And when you combine that with the movement to float, to double jump, or to get on your Sparrow, I really did appreciate the way the game felt. It didn't sort of feel too penned in or honed in, but then when they were sort of inside fighting, it felt a little bit more curated and a little bit more like you're going to go from point A to point B. I did like that combination. It felt like the game was going to have a good sort of juxtaposition of like big, huge, breathable areas, big, huge boss fights, but then sometimes the more curated, more cramped areas to get in those bombastic fights. Really, really liked that feeling of the world. And then the tone. The tone, I think, really brings it all home. It's more gritty. It's more serious. We weren't getting barraged with silly memes and fart jokes. It was very, very more grounded, they said, this time around. And I've always told people, if you go back to Borderlands 1 and you just listen to the recordings and the tapes for Tannis, it's a pretty dark and gritty game. It can be a little disturbing, but there is good doses of humor with characters like TK Baha or Scooter. And you don't need that to happen too much. I think some of that will be there, but I really did feel like they kind of brought it down and made it more gritty. Graphically, I thought it looked great. The enemies, the plant life, the guns, it all looked very Borderlands, but also it had more of that grit to it, while also, I think, looking very nice, like the lighting and the reflective surfaces. The guns look really, really good. So the conclusion here to me is simple. They answered all of the questions that I had. Honestly, I don't think they hit a wrong note. Other than the shallow FOV and the frame rate, I mean, that's just a presentation thing. That's not a game thing. I think they nailed this deep dive, and hopefully, from what I can tell, they nailed the game as well. But those are just my thoughts. Would love to hear your thoughts. What did you think? Are you excited? Did it change your mind? Would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below. And as always, please remember to hit like, share, and subscribe so I can see you in the next video.